Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, as I sit and look you directly in the eye, my opinions going into this game, or my hopes I should say, was that it would give us something to talk about, you know what I mean? Because we never made a preview video yesterday. I couldn't be bothered hearing the exact same stuff that they care and they're going to do this and they're going to do it when they just didn't actually do it. I was just hoping they'd be giving us something to talk about today, and it wasn't just one of those boring dead rubbers that ends 1-0. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it certainly wasn't boring. It was probably ironic to actually sit here and say is this is probably the most Rangers game Rangers can actually put out there. You know what I mean? You check the back, you check the label, you check the ingredients, and what you're getting is 100% Rangers. You had the bar shop, you know, we love to hit the woodwork. Something else we love to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get an opportunity to make a simple pass for one of our players to have a free shot and goal, a golden opportunity to score. We didn't do the simple pass, we didn't put the team first. No, we choose the selfish option, we end up missing that, and then we end up hurting ourselves by conceding two simple crosses that should actually be cut out. And then after going 2-0 down behind again, we fight tooth and nail, we scrap, we get ourselves back into the game, we score a good couple of goals. Dessers just decides after playing really well in the game he's just not going to hit the circle button anymore before we eventually lose a player to injury. And I'll be honest with you, about the 75th minute of this game I sat back and says, well, we've scored 3 goals, we're probably due another centre back injury, but I'm going to take a breather, I'm going to try and relax and find some composure, because that's exactly what we had to witness from our vastly changed team. We've talked about the injuries many times. 11 first team injuries. There was 5 changes from the team that went ahead and faced Celtic a couple days. But can I just say, before I really get into some of my major talking points, see if Ridvan's fit enough to start the day in a dead rubber game versus Dundee. Could he not have started the game 3 days ago and give us a wee bit of energy and drive down that left-hand side when a game that mattered the most? That's all I'm going to say about that. We'll carry on for there, because I actually want to talk about a couple of players that went out and did it. Because, listen, we were 2-0 down at 2-0 down, gone into half-time before Ross McCausland pulled one out the old back door. But it looked doom and gloom, and there was a couple of players, especially one player for me who is so criticised, it's absolutely crazy, by the name Todd Cantwell, that grabbed this game by the scruff of his neck and went, nah, I'm not letting us go out like this. I'm not letting what could possibly be my last appearance at Ibrox gone this way, getting beat of Dundee. And that was probably the best I've not only seen Todd Cantwell play since he was on that fantastic run before picking up his injury in February, but the best I've seen this Rangers team play since we went ahead and scudded Hearts 5-0 all the way there. And you know what's crazy? It wasn't our best players, it wasn't our first team players. No, there was a lot of reserves, there was a lot of young laddies that came into the game. You know what I mean? A lot of the backups who didn't get trusted in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, started playing like the 2002 Brazil squad and pulled the established players and pulled the players that play every week out the actual gutter. So credit to the backups, if you will, and credit to the young laddies, McKinnon and Fraser, coming in as well, especially young Fraser coming out here and starting. Obviously you had Barisic, not starting but coming off the bench. I mean, you had Barisic there, the easy subs to bring Barisic in and what would be his last appearance at Ibrox. But we've sat here and looked in the eyes, we've talked about this before, Barisic's time at Rangers, he's done. The only reason he's sitting here now is because nobody wanted him in January, nobody wanted him in the summer, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he's here. Barisic, we will move on for, and I think that was quite clear to see as a young lad. He got an opportunity to play at Ibrox, and it was just good to see some energy and drive. You saw it with Ridvan, you saw it with young Fraser. Again, I'm not sitting here going to be blinded by the fact that we just beat Dundee there, that we need to give all the youngsters constantly chances. I'm not saying that. I know there is different levels they beating Dundee than playing Celtic at Parkhead, let's be honest about that. But it was just nice to see a young laddie get there and achieve the dream we all had as young laddies, and unfortunately a lot of us weren't good enough to make. Going out there, impacting the game and coming into the game at a time where he was needed to perform. It wasn't 5 minutes at the end when the game was already done. No, it was still in the balance, and I thought the young laddies done himself proud. But I was actually talking about Todd Cantwell before I ended up getting lost in my own words there. And just shout out to Todd Cantwell. I thought he was great today. The assist, the goal and everything like that might have been a little bit lucky, but you saw a player actually try. And There is so much criticism of this laddie that I can't help but think if he was sitting there with a crew cut or going bald, nobody would care. But people just seem to hate this laddie. For what reason? Why did everybody hate him? I'm saying our best run in the season had him being the focal point, scoring and assisting, 8 and 5, 8 and 6, etc, etc. We saw him driving the team. Then he gets injured and comes back and he's not up to his usual standard as it takes him a couple games. Yet there is so much shit that gets flung to this laddie that I truly didn't understand, you know what I mean? And he goes about his business. He might frustrate and everything like that, and yes, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and maybe he gets involved in things and he reacts to things and he shows a bit of heart, he shows a bit of passion. But can I just say, because I do think Cantwell will probably leave this summer or he will be moved on, because again in the biggest moments Clement doesn't trust him because he is so emotional, because he is doing this, because he is so passionate, if you actually will. I just like seeing that in my Rangers team. But you could, because see, if you look at us in old firms, there's too many emotionless robots going in to these games, and you wonder when you look across there and there's guys screaming in folks' faces and demanding more and orchestrating the midfield and shouting at him and shouting at him. When you look at all your robots just sitting like this, beady 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 hot dog. To the two people that got that reference, you're welcome for that. But we've got emotionalist robots. So is there any surprise in the biggest games it's all about passion, drive and having something in here wouldn't come up short every single time? I like the way Todd Cantwell goes the game. He gets involved in silly stuff now and again, but at least he's got a bit of something, and that was quite clearly on display today as it looked dead and buried until he turned up. Now the fair argument a lot of people can have is he doesn't turn up enough, and if that's the way you look at that, it's fair enough. There's not much I can actually say, as there is definitely a player in there. But all this chopping and changing for Tom Lawrence who gets away with murder, I didn't understand it, if I'm honest with you. But I'm just a fan, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I look at it. I thought he was outstanding today, as was Jackie Butland in the backline to make a couple big moments. But there was another player that I want to mention before we get to the young laddie that I thought really drove a lot of our good play as well, and done some bad things but done some good things as well. I want to just talk about Dessers very, very briefly. 22 goals now, right? And I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to keep this week because I didn't want this video to be another 40-minute reaction, because nobody wants to sit here for another 40 minutes. But say what you want about Dessers, and I know so many people didn't rate him, right? And he can frustrate you and he can drive you mental. He's drove it, you know what I mean? I want to love him, but it makes me hate him too many times throughout an actual season. But see if you take a step back and you look at 22 goals, the way he approaches the game and he plays the game and his mentality. If we had an entire starting 11 and an 18 that had his mentality, that is missing chances now and again, is dropping stinkers now and again, but he rolls his sleeves up, gets back in and goes about his business. We've got too many players in our team when it isn't all going fantastically well and they can't miss and they're all scoring goals and we're smashing teams to bits. The second it starts to wobble and the second they miss a chance or they misplace a pass or they make a mistake, their arse crumbles and we bottle it year upon year. Say what you want about Dessers, but his mentality is second to none. He's had some incredible lows, he's had some highs, but he keeps turning up. And if I think we had players with his mentality, we wouldn't have the mess that we're actually in. So that's what I want to say about Big Dessers. I know he might not be exactly what we want or anything like that, but you can't argue him. He's one of the best players on the park today, and we badly needed him, as there was the wee man that was playing on the right hand side, young Ross McCausland. And again, he's having peaks, he's having valleys. It's a young laddie, I've seen it before. His name was Glenn Middleton, the exact same career trajectory. It's up, it's down, you just got to be patient. And I'm really glad for a young laddie it went his way at the end, as he started off a little bit rough, a wee bit rash, trying to impress, trying to turn things round for himself, being a bit selfish on occasion. But as the game got a wee bit on, as the legs started to tire to Dundee, he showed he has got a wee bit of something, and that wee bit of something was badly needed as well. So shout out to our boy Ross McCausland. I bet that meant a lot to him and his family as well, after starting up so bright and everything working his way, to then struggle as young players actually had, to bounce back and have a game like that in the last game at Ibrox this season. Would have meant a lot to him. He's nowhere near the finished article, we know that, but let's give praise when praise is deserved. He earns it. for that performance. But aye, there's been a lot of positivity, there's been a lot of smiles so far in today's video, but that doesn't necessarily sum up this game. If you missed it, or if you left at half time, or if you couldn't make it with the traffic, or if you're working, we're going to dive into the game reaction, and we're going to talk about the good and the bad and the ugly, because you can't talk about Rangers 5, Dundee 2 without getting to the muck, as a large part of that first half was simply shocking, ladies and gentlemen. And it does show me these days, especially as football's progressing, and stay with me, I know I'm sounding like an old man, see, player power is absolutely frightening. See, when players just shut down like that and they just turn off and they drop their standards and they drop their mentality, and the fact that they can just pile all the pressure on the manager, well, they get away with it season upon season, throwing another manager, making people question another manager after another manager. It's absolutely terrifying, because there's a couple players in that, more than a couple players in that starting 11 that genuinely never kicked their arse the day and got pulled out the crap because of the backups, because of young laddies, and because of the likes of Cantwell. But that's not to say before it all started to crumble down in that first half and Bottles started to actually go that we started this game badly. In fact, the likes of Ridvan provided energy, the likes of Raskin in the midfield provided energy, and after a wee beautiful turn for Raskin to Ridvan, he drops the shoulder. I don't know why he's playing centre attacking midfield, but we'll talk about that another time. Might come up to that part called structure, be great if we learn it one day, but he drops his shoulder, hits a shot that's well saved by the goalie. You've then got Big Dessers just getting lumped the ball. He's got two defenders next to him because no one's near him. He holds them both off. He plays in a beautiful through ball to Fabio Silva, who runs. It's a good run, to be fair, and he gets a wee bit lucky as it bounces off his knee, but it falls to him perfect. Diamandi's there if he wants to pass it, but he goes for the shot, and to be fair, you're probably looking at it that way just because Diamandi is a wee bit behind him. You're expecting a guy who costs £35 million to have a shot for that range, but he hits the bar, ticking off the old bingo card, and you're thinking, yes, Ranger, just keep going, keep pressurising. And then because we were pressuring from the midfield, especially Luke McCowan, who we've spoken about a lot this year on this channel for being someone that's been so steady and the real standout. I know Loyal Cameron's the clickbait everywhere and everything like that, but Luke McCowan really drives their ship. He's having a phenomenal season for Dundee. We force him into him making a mistake as Raskin is putting pressure on him. He plays in Ross McCausland instead of his fullback. Ross McCausland just needs to pass the Dessers. He's there wide open, but he hesitates, then tries to beat his man. He does get round him, but it's forcing him onto his weak foot with a defender right at him, and he just hits it straight at the goalie. And I'm not picking on the young laddie here because I do defend him a lot if you watch this channel quite regularly, especially throughout the actual videos, but it's these moments that separates composure and quality. He's just got to pass it to Dessers there. Fair enough if Dessers goes and misses it, that's it, but he's your number 9. That's him, like, just feed it to him, but he tries to beat him, goes on to his weaker foot, and it goes a shot. That's a moment that's haunted us year upon year. I'm going to say a couple names to see if you remember. Motherwell, Dundee United, Hearts. There are a couple of the games that I can actually think of at Dundee. Ross County, the 3-3, for instance, if you want to go back to that. These are games and these are moments that we've had chances like that, but we continually have people pick the individual option rather than the team. I wish I could just shake them and say the only thing that matters is that. No, that. I didn't care who's scoring the goals, just put the team actual first. And it's no, again, a dig at McCausland, it's everyone, it's the way football is actually played now, and it's another major opportunity to take the lead, or possibly take the lead if we just pass it 1v1 for the goalkeeper, but we didn't. And then we've had the bar, we've had good pressure, we've forced good saves, and we've missed an opportunity to make an easy goal for this team. You all know where this goes next. That's right, Dundee end up scoring a goal, but before we break down the goal, I want to mention I feel like Rangers should have had a penalty in this game, and I know it's a meme and everyone moans about it, but it's literally a kid just running up behind and shoving Cyril Dessers. Yes, the ball's absolutely overhit, right, and Dessers isn't getting it, but you can't do this on any other part of the park. Like, just run behind somebody and two-hand shove somebody there. You can't do that. That's a foul anywhere on the park, whether they've got the ball or no. Or is it? If I just lost my... Is it no a foul anywhere? Can you just run up and shove somebody as long as they can't get the ball flat-handed on the back? Now, I admit I didn't know every ins and out in football, but surely You can't run and shove somebody in the back. I don't know why VAR decides not to look at it. That's right, VAR never cleared it. VAR just never looked at it, and that's weird to me as well. But anyway, we didn't get a penalty that I feel like the referee should have actually gave, or VAR should have gave. And then again, a couple minutes later, we missed the chances, we missed the opportunities. And then Dundee has the ball into the back of net. And how does it come, I hear you say? Well, it's a cross to the back post that we don't defend as Dodds takes young Ross McCausland for a walk here. I've seen a lot of people criticise Tavernier, says Tavernier needs to be out there. Tav's got his man. Like, I've been very critical over the last couple of months of Tavernier defensively, but Tav's tucked inside, marking the winger. That's a fullback for Dundee that's ran 50, 60 yards up the park. That's McCausland's man. Young Ross gets taken for a walk, gets down the byline, whips it to the back post, and Redvan, who I've backed quite a lot, and I want a lot of, if that's Barisic, we're all slaughtering him, so it needs to be the same. The defensive instincts in our team stank, because he just looks at it, and then leaves it. And then in comes Jordan McGee, who I've got to take out my fantasy team, by the way. That was a painful thank you, by the way. He runs to the back post, smashes it into the back of the net, and a boy I beat in a 5-shot challenge at Falkirk Stadium has scored at Ibrox and has beaten my team. I'm not happy. But where I was almost numb to the fact that we've yet again threw it away and conceded the exact same goal again, before I can even stomach a response, before I can even lift my head up truly and just try to get over what I've witnessed, it's 2-0 to Dundee at Ibrox, 38th and 40th. And how does it happen? Dodds whips in another ball, and then you've got a centre half running about doing moves like he's Cristiano Ronaldo in the FIFA Street 2 cover troops. He's out there doing a move, kicking it with outside his foot, and Jack Butland is gone absolutely mental. And rightly so. Now, granted, we know where we are with our centre-backs. Young Leon King, who was tipped for the Stars, Hudley likes of Newcastle, interested in him, signed the long-term deal, and then struggled with injuries a lot this season. I actually like young Leon King, and I think if he wasn't so injured this season, didn't spend so long out injured, would have seen a lot of him in a Rangers team. But again, it's took him a wee while. He's very, very rusty. Quite clearly, he's not played a lot of games. But even just the rest of the defence, it's so out of place. Midfielders, no picking it up, no picking up the runners, and it's just bad there, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I was actually low-key thankful Ben Davies was on the park, because it was 2-0 at Dundee. But if he doesn't block his head, block a shot that's gone into the back of net for Luke, or is it Toffany? Anyway, it's one of them. They end up having a shot, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Davies has to clear it off the line, or it could have been 3 before it was 2-1, and that is crazy to actually think about. And that's when I talk about player power, and I talk about players down tooling, and players getting managers in trouble, because I didn't care what you say. If you didn't like Clement now, or if he's not picked the right starting 11s versus Celtic, that starting 11 pick today should have more than enough quality to beat the likes of Dundee handedly for the first half. I know it might be sliming and disrespectful. I give respect to the opposition, but that 11 is good enough to beat Dundee. Just compare the wages and money actually spent to go out there and see established players head down, thumbs up. It's absolutely shambolic. And aye, if we hadn't scored that goal, by the way, just in the shy of half time, I'm really worried for the likes of Marco Negri's. Or aye, if you know. You know. But we did get that goal before half-time, and that was massive in this game of football. And what I like here is Ross McCausland, who again's not had the greatest first half, just stays in it. Doesn't lose his head, doesn't get scared. And I think that's a part of when you're a young lad and you're trying to break in. You do have that sign of fearless nature. You're not bogged down by previous or years of failure and going, oh no, it's happening again, oh no, it's happening. He just stays with the ball, battles into Dodds, and ends up getting a wee bit lucky with his finish as it nutmegs the goalie. But again, as we've said many times, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We saw it at that instant, and we go in at half-time at Ibrox, 2-1 down to Dundee. But we're almost lucky. It's just that. So once again, we're going to halftime needing a massive response, needing another change. And that's when you start to look at the structure. As much as I've sort of defended Clement in terms of individual attitudes and performances and application in the game, sometimes you look at us and think, by God, what are we actually working on? We are all over the place. Is it all on the players? Is it 50-50 with the manager? It depends how you look at it, but I would just like us to fix the structure, as it's one ball every time and we are in so much disarray. It's actually terrifying, but we needed a response at half time, and I'm so glad this is when Todd Cantwell really grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, as he just started to get involved in everything. And as he was getting involved in everything, I'm sitting here saying, here's a young laddie wearing his heart on his sleeve again. And I'm sitting here watching another game, a football, where I'm contemplating why we can't defend crosses and why I continually watch players get free hit after free hit after free hit on Todd Cantwell. There was a player that I fouled him late the day 3 times, right? Didn't even get a speaking to, ladies. Just came in and nailed him. And then people are wondering, oh, why did he get injured and blah, blah, blah. He gets injured because he gets kicked up and down the park and gets zero actual protection. You can call them brittle, you can do that. But look at the nick of some of the challenges and the late kicks and the stomps on the back of his legs and everything that he was getting in this game of football. He clearly was targeted, but to give credit to Todd Cantwell, he didn't let that defeat him. He didn't let that sulk him, as it does a lot of our other players who sit injured for a long time. He just rolls his socks up and go about his business as he starts playing, dictating and being the main man at Rangers. Now in the 52nd minute, he does end up hitting a beautiful cross in after a lovely first touch, running down the channel. He's left, he's right, he's absolutely, don't say it, I was going to say everywhere, don't say the ending of that rhyme. He crosses it to the back post, and Big Dessers is there with a brilliant headers. He keeps it low and hits into the grunt. He knows it's raining and he knows it's slick, and it's a great finish by Dessers, grabbing his 22nd goal of the season. And then it's back to 2 each, and you know we're going to come back into it. And by come into it, I obviously mean run away with a game of football. And he has a shot from range after a great little 1-2 with Raskin, runs up the park, hits a good save into keeper. He then does some good combination play with young Ridvan, who just sprints and he runs and he runs, and it looked like his goal versus Partick Thistle, I believe, but it's just over the bar as he rattles it, and it's just always rising. And then you're thinking, oh no, and then Cantwell's running down the right hand side, he's combining with Tav, he's combining with McCausland, he puts in another fantastic cross to the back post. This time big Fabio Silva, who I'm pretty sure was playing again for the opposition, tries to get up and header the ball but doesn't get it. And then I see the replay, and literally Dessers is sitting like that, he's looking like a puppet in the background as the Dundee defender's hands oil him, literally pinning him down with his shirt, stopping him for jumping. Now I think back to the penalty we got earlier on in the season, where I sat and said I didn't think it was a penalty as there was a slight tug on Leon Balogun. If that's a penalty, how's that no one? But I'll let it go. But that shot that was hit over the bar by Ridvan Yilmaz was sort of his last action as young Fraser comes on, and it was great to see him. And again, the camera panned to Barisic. It's do what you want and that, but your time is done, big man. You were a great player for us and a great servant a couple years ago. Just another one that stayed far too long beyond their expiry date. Now, we should have scored the third goal, and it would have been such a relief to talk about a goal of this quality. As Diamande, Raskin, into Cantwell, he tries a wee back heel, he gets the ball back. You could maybe argue luckily, but then what he does next is he fakes the pass there and does a back heel in between, playing in Fabio Silva, who's got to show better composure than to just slash the ball when he's got a golden opportunity to score. That's why we signed him, to score chances like that. The header versus Celtic, the goal, the chance versus Ross County, the chance versus Motherwell, but he's just continued to miss. And it's a shame, ladies and gentlemen, but he was dreadful again the day. It's just a shame we keep signing these loan contracts and having to play these players based on that loan contract. And it's a really poor finish, but what a goal that could have been. And maybe where that should have been one and Cantwell was unlucky or robbed of an assist, he then goes down the right hand side. He's just everywhere. He really is. If you watch that game, he was literally he's down the right hand side this time, lifts his head up, sees the goalie off his line, and has a shot, troops, and puts it right into the breadbasket. Now haters will look you in the eye and say that was a fluke and that was a cross, but no me. He looks up at the goal, I'm giving him it, and Tavernier gets an assist for that. This is why I don't care too much about stats. But Cantwell's got the goalie, obviously he's a wee bit nonchalant, as it's probably across some people might say. He kisses the badge, he shows, he points to everybody and everything like that, and that could be the last goal he scored. Well, it will be if he leaves this summer in terms of Ibrox and everything like that. But I just like him, and he's got that wee bit, he plays with his heart on his sleeve. And sometimes I watch these limp, lifeless performances of players in the biggest games and the biggest moments, and I'm just like, what is that? But again, maybe that's what we want. We want more emotionless robots. It's not going to risk the expected goals or the expected Gs or the stats and statistics on laptops because they're better than this and they didn't get booked and they do that. But again, football is an emotional game, or at least it used to be. And aye, he's definitely that. 73rd minute, Cantwell's heavily involved once again as he takes the ball off Raskin, sort of combines with McCausland. The ball goes out wide, it gets whipped up, and then it's actually Big Dessers who does everything again right, keeping it very low, but it's actually a worldie for the goalkeeper McCracken as he gets down there, keeps the ball out somehow on a wet surface at that. Very, very good save. You could argue that's very similar to the save that Earl McGregor made in European football if he ordered it for Wish, if you catch my drift on that. But aye, it's a great save. He gets out, pulls it away, and Dessers doesn't get his 23rd goal of the season. And maybe he should have, as again, sorry if you're getting sick of hearing his name, but Todd Cantwell drives into the box, plays it to Dessers. Dessers has the space, and he doesn't pull the trigger again. He tries to do a cut-back fake shot back heel to Fabio Silva. Now, not only are you trying to set up Fabio Silva, which is a waste of time, if I'm honest, but you're in goal. You've scored a goal. You're playing brilliant. Just hit it, and then that's the difference, and that's what drives you crazy about Dessers. He can play fantastic, get you up the park, use his body, run his defender, everything like that. He can score you good goals, but then he gets in front of goal sometimes, and he just switches off his brain. Stop fannying about and just kick the ball into the goal. He's got the ability. If he just believed in himself, and you could hear it for the crowd, you could see it in his face, you could see it on Clement's face. Just shoot, big man. I'm really not needing Ben Simmons as my number 9. If you get that reference, you'll know what I'm talking about. But what else I'm talking about is the fact that Dessers then gets substituted, as there was a triple substitution. Dowell comes on, you've got Scott Wright comes on, and Kemar Roof comes on, and again they just explode with energy, bit of drive, and appreciation for McKinnon as well, who also came on and actually played in an area of the park that I've never, like, honest to God, lads, and I'm not laughing in terms of like Leon King getting injured, but I'm laughing at the fact that once again this Rangers team just gets punished for playing well. We're playing so well, somebody goes down injured. Leon King, again, being so cruel, gets substituted off. We bring on young McKinnon coming in there, who's another young laddie. We've got a young laddie there, a young laddie there, a young laddie there. And then we're having to play Tavernier as a centre-back, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what happened? 5 minutes into Tavernier's centre-back career, I had to witness this man shout at a right-back and tell him to come back and not leave him exposed. Are you having a laugh? Skip dog. And all I can hope for, ladies and gentlemen, is now that Tavernier's played 15 minutes as a centre-half and actually played pretty well, by the way, he now understands how he's ran Goldson out of his knees at 32 years old, ladies and gentlemen, because of the amount of space Goldson's had to cover, doing that right-hand side covering for Tavernier over the years. He probably gets a wee appreciation for that because he's screaming and asking somebody to come back. Yes, Tav, that's normally you away on your actual holidays. But aye, the skip dog does really well defensively, especially with the ball that gets curled in behind to Rangers. He does well, gets out there, kicks out for the corner, plays the percentages, sorry, and we end up getting it cleared away. And again, because of some good defending, gives us the opportunity to put the game away. And the game away gets finished as Dowell gets down the left-hand side, whips in a brilliant ball. It then comes back to him after, I think Dessers tries to have a shot or something like that. I can't remember the exact way. I was kind of in pandemonium because Kieran Dowell hangs. But then Dowell gets on the ball, chips it beautifully, shows great composure. Doesn't just slash at the ball or try something stupid. Just sees Scott Wright wide open, and he just passes to the wide open player. Chips it right to the back post. Scott Wright's got a tap in and the game's done and dusted. Do you see what happens? Look, pass to the boy that's wide open. Game, set and match, and Scott Wright came on and got his 3rd goal of the season, which equals Ryan Kent's total from last season. And the season before. I'm not getting in it. Anyway, Scott Wright then is on a hat-trick, ladies and gentlemen. As it's actually some really good play. And shout out to Ross McCausland, gets on the ball, plays it in to Scott Wright. Scott Wright just shifts it, gets it out to his right foot and curls it beautifully. It's great. And you know what I mean? He is capable. Like, he scored great goals like that, but it's so swinging and miss, you know what I mean? It's 1 out of every 5. He's like the Bash brother for the Mighty Ducks. When it goes right for him, it's great, and he had his moment there. And I'm sitting here looking at your eye and say it's 2024 and Scott Wright was on a hat-trick for Rangers, but thankfully for all of our Sannies, the footing whistle was actually done, and that was it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, people can look at it as a dead rubber, lack of pressure, but I'll tell you something, the pressure was racked way up where that was 2-0 to Dundee and there was a possible title being handed out to Celtic. Tonight, obviously, they will go on to win it in their next game of football, but you make sure you didn't lose it right there. And again, you have to give credit to the young laddies that was thrusted into that bit. And aye, Clement needs to fix this, troops. He really does, because the nonsense we're doing right now, the players were really trusting to get us out of holes, or it's grabbed his attention over the last 2 months because they've done really well. They're going to let you down, mate. They're going to sell you down the river, because that's what they do to every single manager. A guy that got us to a European final got kicked out of this football club because of these players. Do you know what I mean? You've just came in. You've got some goodwill. Absolutely. But if we're kicking boys out, takes us to a European final on a shoestring budget, which I think they'll do to you eventually if you keep trusting the same players week in and week out. Massive summer needed, massive change around needed, but again, we have to learn our lessons over the next couple of weeks. I know we're forced into certain changes because of the mountains of injuries, but again, man, just tidy it up. Change the left hand side. It's absolutely broken and it's vulnerable every single time. But aye, there's some big games left of the all season off. Obviously the cup final is the biggest and we need to be a hell of a lot better. Oh, it's going to be another big game lost. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I've got to say about the game of football. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And as always, I've been CJ92. Until the next video, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye-bye.